One of the most difficult aspects of investing is understanding how many accounts you actually need to have. In this video, I'm going to break down all of the right types of accounts to have and how many you should have on average. Hey, what's going on? This is Maui Vodi with Financially Present, your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how many accounts you need to have, especially if you're a family of 4, for example. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to give you a more modest number. You can always increase it from there, but I'll let you guess. If you are a family of 4, how many accounts, let's say between bank accounts and brokerage accounts, do you think you need to have? All right, so the answer is 13 at minimum, okay? And again, this is a very modest number. And I'm gonna give you a breakdown. How many accounts dad should have, how many accounts mom should have, and then how many accounts the kids should have each. And I'll keep it really, really simple. Okay, so I mentioned 13 accounts. Very modest number, and in fact, you're probably thinking you have way more than that. And if you do, that's perfectly fine. This may be something where you can decide to consolidate some specific things, or you can assess and say, hey, maybe I do need to open up this account to make sure I'm covered in this area. That's exactly what I'm going to break down. So starting with dad should have a 401k account for work. Hopefully, if his job doesn't allow one, he would have the opportunity to open up a traditional IRA. And ultimately, depending on his income, he would be able to also have a Roth IRA. So those are 3 accounts on their own. And in fact, there are pluses and minuses to having both of these retirement accounts, or all 3 of them. And it's important that you at least have those. And it gives you some flexibility, especially if your job changes every few years, and it makes it more convenient. Now for mom. Mom should also have a 401k plan. And if not, I still think if possible she can, but if not, she should have her own traditional IRA account and her own Roth IRA account. You see, because those accounts can't be combined between mom and dad, not while they're living at least, but ultimately they need to have them separate, and they have to maintain and watch those accounts. You can always have them linked and be aware of them ultimately. So now let's go into some accounts that they should actually have together, because we're already at 6 accounts. Together, mom and dad should have a joint checking account, joint brokerage account, and then a joint savings account. Okay, so altogether, that's already 9 accounts. And we're not even including an additional savings account for a vacation fund or an additional savings account to prepare for an upcoming expense. We're not talking about credit cards or things like that. We're talking about specific accounts, bank and brokerage. So 9 accounts already. So if you don't have kids, it's pretty simple. You can, well, I wouldn't say stop the video from here, but that's all the accounts you would technically need for yourself and your significant other, right? If you do have kids, it does increase the amount of accounts you'll need to keep eyes on. All right, and it generally can be both of you on the accounts, maybe one on the account and then one as a backup or another responsible party on the account. But for the kids, kid number 1 would have their own custodial brokerage account, so a UGMA or UTMA account, so Uniform Gift to Minors Act account, and or a Uniform Transfer to Minors Act account. Basically, it's a custodial brokerage account, and it's called different things depending on your state, but that is the main taxable brokerage account that your child would have, and you need to have one for each child. Additionally, for educational purposes, I would recommend a 529 plan. There are different styles of 529 plans, mainly 2. So if you have any questions about that, check out my other video about opening up a 529 plan. I've actually demo opening up my kids' 529 plans in that video. But those are the main accounts you need for kids. Notice I didn't say anything about a bank account for a child. I personally think that it's not necessary to have a bank account for a kid unless they're actually working or a teenager. So under the age of 13, I say just maintain a bank or piggy bank and help them understand maintaining cash or physical currency, because there is a physical and psychological connection with physical cash that you don't get when you're using digital currency or using a debit card or credit card and things of that nature. So ultimately, if they don't have it within their sight, it's going to be out of mind. And you get more of that when you deal with physical cash with kids. So if they're under the age of 13, I wouldn't worry about a custodial bank account. Focus on having a custodial brokerage account, UGMA or UTMA, and a 529 plan if possible. And there's some flexibility that's been recently added with the 529 plan. And if you really want extra credit, I say open up 2 additional accounts. So that would be accounts 14 and 15. That would be custodial Roth IRA accounts for both kids. Assuming they have some reportable taxable income, you can actually put money towards their retirement. Yes, you can do that. Just check with your local brokerage firm or even a nationwide brokerage firm that's available online. You can actually make contributions for their retirement when they're at a very young age. So again, like I said, the 13 number is pretty modest. The more and more deep we get, you're gonna have more and more accounts for these kids. But ultimately, that will be a big saving method for them at that age. Okay, so I know I mentioned 13 at first, but technically I said 15. And one of the reasons why this amount seems small, well, actually it's a little bit large, but it is completely manageable depending on where you have your accounts held, because you can have everything designed where the funds flow through your joint account at the very top. And then from there, you can have automated deposits, transfer assets or cash directly to all of the other accounts. So I got a little homework for you. Your assignment is to make sure that you ask yourself these questions. When you look at your accounts, is it convenient to manage? Is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that's making it harder for me to manage? Because from there, you can realize that, hey, you do have a 401k plan that's been sitting there from an old job, or you have an Acorns account that you've barely been putting money into, or a Robinhood account that you just, wanted to try something with and it's not growing. There's nothing substantial in there. And you have to decide, is it worth it to keep those accounts or close them down and merge them into this ecosystem of highly functioning accounts that you have better oversight over? If you do happen to have an old 401k plan or 457B plan or whatever they want to call it essentially, that's just lingering around, then I want you to check out my other video on how to roll over a 401k plan using capitalized or just using the traditional method by just calling them up and having a check that you can roll over into your traditional IRA or your Roth IRA, depending on if it's a Roth 401k or not. But either way, I have a resource for you in order to get that all situated, because at the end of the day, managing accounts is pretty easy if you have a system in place. If you don't, it's gonna feel like herding cats. All right, if investing is already enough of a challenge for you, you don't wanna make it much harder by having everything all over the place. So I want you to make sure you take that inventory, understand where you have all of your assets, and then find a way to manage it better. Have a system in place. If you like this video, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.